Hey, thanks for tuning into our edit sesh. I'm Effie.
And I'm Dorothy.
Two passionate photographers from Hamilton, Ontario. Join us as we dive into answering FAQs, share tips, and discuss life's moments, all while savoring the rich aroma of our favorite brew and working through our edit cues.
Tune in for a blend of photography, insights, candid conversations that develop with each click and sip. Whether you're a photographer or a pal, we're happy to have you joining us.
Aww. Good job.
Good job.
Maybe
that's a winner.
Yeah, maybe we'll never have to do it again. What should we start with? Highs and lows?
Normally you ask me what I'm editing, and I'm still not editing anything. Yeah. But my website is doing things.
Again,
I said this last time. I know. It's still doing things.
I keep saying the same thing.
I'm just saying, 9th out of 40 in Hamilton photographers. It's not like super bad, considering I don't think I was even on the internet last year.
How does it know there's 40 photographers in Hamilton?
I think it's just like SEO if you're using the word Hamilton photographer, and blah, 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 blah.
Well,
we're going to have an SEO person on at some point to help us all out.
I should probably change my website from saying Oakville to Hamilton.
I don't know. I kind of like great clients.
I know. It's true. I kind of like that.
You can just leave it.
Because I feel like if there's 40 in Hamilton, there's like 5 in Oakville. There's like no one.
Yeah, just leave it.
Okay.
Yeah, what are your highs and lows?
Oh my God, I have so many highs.
Wow. Okay, let's go through them.
Okay. My first high was our meetup, our photographer meetup.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is probably your high too.
I don't think you were expecting to like enjoy it so much, and then you had so much fun.
I wasn't even going to come.
You were just like, whatever.
You literally were like, I'm picking you up. I'm like, oh, okay.
You have to come to everything I do.
I know.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody like really rallied. It sucks when there's rain.
I know.
But everybody was like down to create, and it was a really fun group of people.
Yeah.
Obviously Jenna did really well.
Yeah. It's funny because like normally when there's rain and you have to shoot, we're always like, oh,
it's such a damper.
Do we come? Do we do it? Do we reschedule?
I mean, we were back and forth.
I don't think anyone even like considered rescheduling. I think everyone was like, yeah, we're getting together.
One person messaged about the rain, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna stop, but then it didn't. Of course.
No, it didn't. That was really cool.
Yeah.
My second highlight was the workshop that Set Ready Rentals did at Millworks.
Yeah, I actually saw that, and I was thinking how it's not a skill set I really need.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's like, here's the thing is like, if you go to any chat or like any workshop, it's always so enlightening just to learn how other people do things, even if it's not in your wheelhouse.
It was so cool just to see all the equipment that they had. And I think most of all, it was like a networking event.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say I didn't learn anything, but like a lot of the speakers were just like talking about things that I already knew. And I feel like I was already at that point in my career.
Yeah.
If you're like new to the industry, then there's some great insightful information. But I was like, yeah, I know this.
What was your takeaway tip? Top takeaway tip? What would it be?
There was a cool one that I listened to. It was about, there's these 2 documentary filmmakers. They were girls. And one of the tips that she said was that even if like the lighting's bad or you can't get the perfect shot, if something important is happening, you capture it.
Yeah.
And that's for any, like even weddings. Like if there's like an important moment happening, you just capture it. You don't wait. You can't like recreate things like that because it's documentary.
That's the main part of wedding photography, is that I remember reading all these things as to how like photographers are setting up moments, and I was like, no, we're not. And then now looking back, it's totally true, because we're trying to make sure like, you know, venues have the good lighting and everything's white and things are really easy for us. But that's also just like not realistic. That's not life. That's not how things happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it's still going to look probably better in black and white, but yeah.
And with a professional camera.
It's so important to be capturing the moment regardless of what's in the background. And I think it's obviously going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Like we really worry about like, oh, there was clutter and there was this and that. But when like in 30 years, we're going to look at that photo and be like, oh, remember like they used to make deodorant in a plastic tube. Mm-hmm. Now it comes in I don't know, something else. You get to see actually history.
Yeah, it's
as
true.
opposed to like
Yeah,
a pretty bride standing by a white
Yeah.
wall in good lighting.
With like nothing in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Another cool point that I learned was there was these people talking about how to get brand deals, and they were saying that you should niche down. And I'm like, yeah, I have heard that many, many, many times.
Like rolling your eyes, you're like, I feel attacked.
I feel attacked. I think every single mentor / person that's tried to give me advice has told me to niche down.
Well, there's a reason for it, especially in branding.
Yeah.
Because people want to know what is your voice, what is your style, what can they expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you have that across your brands.
Yeah.
But every different type of photography does require something different. And so when you do niche down, obviously you're going to get really skilled in that area. And
you
also
look like the person that's like the best at it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. But like, I'm not really looking for brand deals anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't want to niche down.
You might at some point.
I've separated my Instagram account, so that's a good step.
Yeah.
So if you go onto my boudoir page, I look like a boudoir photographer.
Yeah, you do. And you do great boudoir.
Thanks. And my landscaping page, I look like a landscape photographer. So it's working out.
Yeah.
And then my last highlight was yesterday, which is also my low, because my low is that I had to wake up at 4 to get there.
Rough.
But I was on a set of a commercial, which was really fun, and I was like set mom, like you said. It was just making sure everyone was fed. And everyone had everything they needed, and I just moved stuff around. I was a PA, so it was really fun.
Well, I did see you playing golf, so I was like, wow. I almost commented on that story being like, wow, looks like a tough day of work, Effie.
Yeah, a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
I just have to make sure the snack table was full.
Yeah.
What are your highs and
I
lows?
mean, yeah, the high was definitely getting together and doing that shoot was very fun. It's always fun to do that. It's always fun to get together and be creative and take the stress off. And I think it went super well. I would totally do another one, but I don't like when they're super stylized. Jenna did a really good job having outfits, and I was like, let's bring a chair. Let's just go out. And I think we stylized like where we were shooting. I think the like red sweater really worked in that really barren field. I just think, it's hard when it's March, you know where to go, but those two spots are really fun.
It was good scouting.
Yeah.
I felt like annoying. Well, first of all, because I was stuck the freaking umbrella down my coat and then went in the front. So
no, that was fun. I don't think it was annoying at all until I was like waiting for this one shot, and I was like, okay, you're taking forever. I was like, share the middle.
I held back a bit.
That's always the hard thing about every workshop, is that there's always like there isn't one angle. And I think this is something I've learned from second shooting, because it's the lead photographer will normally set up the shot for them. And then you're supposed to get supporting images that are just as good, which just doesn't happen. But I often do shoot like very straight on. And I think it's pushing yourself to like come from different angles, or at least try it.
It was cool because we all shared our galleries at the end.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see everyone else's take on like the same poses at different angles.
Yeah. And I forget the one girl who was shooting film, but she got, I think, like 3 or 4 frames, she said, because she was finishing a roll. She got a sick double exposure.
In the film camera?
Yeah. And she was like, this is like the first one that's ever worked out. So I was like, that's such a good moment. And
nice.
I feel like you can grow leaps and bounds when you just have fun. I don't know. There's something about taking the stress off.
It was so much fun. You have a low?
I don't know what my low is. I don't know if I have a low this week.
Good.
Just the same low.
Same old.
Same old low.
Tired mom.
Yeah, tired mom stuff.
Well, that's good.
Why don't you tell your story this week, and then I can just do mine next week instead of both doing ours.
Sure.
Okay. Works for me. So I feel like you could just start at the beginning, being like, how old are you?
Okay. So, I'll start off by saying I have ulcerative colitis.
Yes.
It's an autoimmune disease under the category of IBD, which is irritable bowel disease. Ooh. So there's 2 types of those. There's the Crohn's and there's ulcerative colitis.
Yes.
So ulcerative colitis affects just your colon, And Crohn's can happen anywhere between your mouth and your bum, like in any of the intestines, any of the organs and stuff. But when I was 24, I started to feel stomach pain, like a severe like stomach cramps. And I couldn't stop going to the bathroom. And I ended up going to the emergency room like multiple times, and they thought I just had food poisoning until I started seeing blood in my stool. And I went to my family doctor, and she actually did her thesis in ulcerative colitis at med school.
Super helpful.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Because I went to the bathroom while I was there, and she saw what I was like, can you come to the bathroom and look at? And she's like, oh shit. And so she like, not even shit. Oh, blood.
Oh boy.
So she booked a colonoscopy for me, like right away. And I got in like way before everyone. I think a lot of people have to like wait a long time for colonoscopy, but I got one like the next day.
Yeah.
And then they took a biopsy and then confirmed that I have ulcerative colitis. And I had no idea what it was. It was so scary.
Yeah.
None of my family knew what it was. We were just like, is she gonna die? Because like I was bad. Like I was like, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was like just stuck on the toilet like all day. The guy I was dating at the time, his aunt owns a nonprofit called the Canadian Digestive Health Foundation. And they basically provide information on stuff like that and like all digestive issues and stuff. So she like came with pamphlets for me, and she explained it to me way better than any of the doctors did.
Wow.
The doctors were like, here's a pamphlet. And like, it was just like a lot of words and a lot of things we didn't understand. And it like didn't really tell you like you can get better. It was just like, here's all the medications you can be on. And she explained it, and there was like pictures and there was diagrams, and I was like, you can get better, you can live a healthy lifestyle, and like you can go into remission. I was like, thank God for you.
Yeah.
Because
doctors are just like that. I don't know if it's just because they're just like, here's the information. They forget like bedside manners and like that people are like, oh, so like I'm just gonna die now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's things you can do.
Yeah. And like they didn't even say like you'll get better. They're just like, here you go.
Yeah.
So then I ended up trying a bunch of different medications, and there's this way that you have to get up to like the best medication. You have to try all the shitty medications first, and they have to fail, which
that's
sucks.
fun.
I know. And I was just like, I was getting worse and worse and worse. I lost like 25 pounds. I had to have blood transfusions because I was losing so much blood.
Oh my goodness.
Out of my bum. And so I did one blood transfusion. It was fine. The second blood transfusion, I started getting a fever. And that one was so scary. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life.
Yeah.
Like I actually thought I was going to die. And then this other doctor was walking by, and he was like, wow, you look like you're going to die. I'm going to get you on the best medication. And I'm like, I thought I had to like go through all the other medications. And they're like, no, that's bullshit. I'll get you on the best one. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And then he just like got me on the best one. He's just like, you just need to fill out some paperwork. And I'm like, okay. Let's do it.
Oh my goodness.
And I started to get better. It still took like 6 months for me to like fully get better and like back to work. But I just figured out like healthy lifestyle and just regular infusions every 6 weeks.
Yeah. So you find being vegan helps?
I tried a bunch of different diets, and I felt that vegan was the best. And then I just started to like it in general.
Yeah.
But I do miss stuff. So like I have even last year I started eating salmon and eggs. This year I literally just started eating feta.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing it. Cause like it affects certain things too, right? Like,
yeah, I found out that I was anemic. Through that, because I never really did blood tests and stuff. So every time I go get an infusion, they take my blood and they check my blood. So they see how much hemoglobin I have, and I've always been low in hemoglobin.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just because I lost all this blood. So I was trying iron infusions. I was like trying iron supplements and stuff. And then I just like I was just always tired.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I just never noticed it before. But now that like I have actual stats in front of me, I was like, wow, I'm so low.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I have I'm anemic and I have thalassemia minor, which is like I said last week, it's like a trait that doesn't allow you to carry as much iron or blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like the journey I've been on with like the holistic nutritionist, it's just like crazy to see like what women really need, and how much we don't get it.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if like when they were giving you the iron, it just wasn't also absorbing.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know.
Yeah. It wasn't like, well, it's because of the way my blood type is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then the last couple of years, it's been good, but you'll have flare-ups every once in a while.
Well,
And
I haven't
do they
really.
know?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, I haven't had flare-ups. And the other week when I thought I was having flare-up, I think it was just food poisoning.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is scary because like you can get flare-ups from stress, which makes sense. Like
Yeah.
stress is damaging on your body.
Yeah.
So I just try to like not be stressed.
Solid advice.
Yeah. All the doctors were like, you should try yoga. And I'm like, okay, great.
I feel like there's too many things to be stressed out about. Like, it doesn't even have to be about your job anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to list them all because I don't want people to be stressed listening to this, but
I think the stress is what triggered it initially because it was basically when I just started my business in 2014. So I started doing wedding videos.
yeah.
And like just out of school to like
It's a
do
lot.
wedding video is so stressful.
Yeah.
Because like you're not confident, you're like not getting paid that much, you don't want to fuck anything up because it's such an important day.
Yeah.
So I think that is what kind of triggered it.
Yeah. That's actually a super good lead up to our other topic today.
Oh, perfect. I planned that.
Yeah, you sure did. Because our main topic today is how to choose your wedding photographer or videographer, or, I mean, I was going to say other vendors, but no, it's videographer or photographer.
I always like to tell people when my friends are asking, like, how do I choose one? I'm like, well, me, but if it's not me, then find someone that you really love their style. Photographers hate when
Yes.
you're like, can you shoot my wedding, but in this style? Like,
Yeah,
why
that's
would...
not how it works.
No, you have to like the person and their style.
I always want to pick the brains of, because it makes so much sense to us how things operate, but I always want there to be like FAQs where people are like, do I get to pick and choose? And I think some photographers might have two styles.
Yeah.
And I've definitely worked for a headshot company where I edited in their style, but I never posted those because I was like, that's not what I'm offering.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's just confusing for people. And I think I've never really had too much of an issue with that question.
Yeah.
I have had it one time where a client was like, oh, I wasn't sure they would be this dark or this or that. And there's so many things that come into play because if you're always posting like the best lighting in like a bright space and all the lights are off, that's going to look different than reception where it's candlelit and dark. You're using flash or you're not, and it's really warm. So I think it's good to see a full gallery, and I don't think it's rude to ask.
No.
And I think if a photographer doesn't want to show you a gallery, that's a red flag for me.
Honestly, in my inquiries, I say like, here is
you don't even have to ask.
Like I provide them because sometimes they say like, I wonder what it would look like if I had you for this many hours or this many hours. I'm like, well, with like 4 hours, you'll probably get this, and I'll extend them a full gallery of a 4-hour
you're so
wedding.
good at that.
Thanks.
I randomly have just put full galleries on my website now. One of my like favorite weddings I just put on there.
Nice.
It's condensed. There's no family photos. There's not a ton of reception because it is condensed, but it's a generalization of what you could expect.
That's all you need, really.
Yeah. And I mean, you can still ask. I actually think I have it linked somewhere on my website that it's like, oh, if you want to see a full gallery, click here, and it just takes you to the Pixie set.
Nice.
Yeah. So I felt like that was an easy way to do that.
Yeah, that's good.
So I actually did write a blog about this, about red flags.
Nice. Give me some.
Yeah. So lack of portfolio or refusal to show previous work. And I think it depends. If the photographer is mainly doing their own work, they should have that, but maybe they're not allowed to show previous work. I know if you've worked for like a really big company for like 10 years but you're under their umbrella, they might not let you use that
Maybe
work.
they're new and they don't have any previous
But
work.
that's the thing. There could be a reason for it, but it could just be that they're new.
Yeah.
Poor communication, which is different than just being bad at like grammar or spelling or not getting back to you super quickly. It's like unresponsive, or there's not a lot of follow through. They're not really trying to book you.
They don't answer your questions.
Yeah, they don't answer them
Yeah.
really well or in depth.
Yeah.
I always tell people if they're confused by the answer, because typing a response, you're hoping like, I think I answered that, but if it's still confusing, you can always jump on a phone call.
Jumping on a phone call is a great way as well. Mostly for my clients, they'll book me first and then jump on a phone call just to like talk about timeline. But I know a lot of people will jump on a phone call before, which I also will do. I offer it. But a lot of people are like, no, we like you, because I think they see me on Instagram and they kind of know the person I am anyway. Yeah. But it is a good way to just like see if you vibe with them.
Even if Instagram is a great way to know, but I feel like some people are who they are on Instagram and then some people aren't who they are. It's so easy to be behind a screen in your home being funny or like outgoing and then be in like the sea of like 160 people and just being quiet. And it just, obviously you're going to be a little bit different, but
it would be good to hop on a call first.
Yeah. I've started to like really love phone calls, but mine are never about business. We always end up randomly talking about something else.
That's good.
Which I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
This means we'll vibe.
Yeah.
Because we can chit chat about, I don't know, your cat.
Definitely. And then will you have another call closer to the date just to go over timeline and logistics? Yeah.
If there's anything that's confusing me, or either of us aren't being responsive back in a way that I'm like, I feel prepared, I'll jump on a call, but I normally don't have to do that. I also do send a link out that says I want full addresses, especially like if it's not in Hamilton, because there's north, there's south, and you need to make sure you're getting a postal code, because I've had it where I've gone to like Dundas to a location and then it's like they're actually like in like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because sometimes Google can change the address if you don't, the postal code, you just need it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Definitely.
That's a tip for photographers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this one is overcommitment, promising unrealistic results, agreeing to an unreasonable tight schedule. I mean, that might just happen because I do always suggest like this should take this long, this will take this long. But if we don't have that time limit, then it's like we'll get what we get. Yeah. But I always do verbalize that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is a little tight. You might want a little bit more space. Your photos will reflect the timeline.
Yeah. As long as they're aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inflexibility. A photographer who is unwilling to adapt or collaborate on ideas might not be the best fit for you or your vision or your needs, which I don't know how much I agree with this one. I think it is a two-way street, but then sometimes it's like it comes down to like things like lighting and
yeah. Are you saying that you think a photographer that doesn't adapt, what don't you agree with?
Yeah, so I wrote inflexibility, a photographer who's unwilling to adapt. You have to adapt a little bit to the vision of a client.
Yeah.
Because I've had it where someone's like, oh, I want to shoot at a bookstore in Paris or something. And I'm like, okay, that might prove to be a struggle for me based on lighting or people, or it might not be my aesthetic. But at the end of the day, they're also your photos, right? So I think there's just give and take.
It's true. I feel like for me, I just try to make the client happy and get them what they want. I'm like there as like their slave. Like they just paid me, so I'm going to get them what they want.
Yeah.
I'm very customer focused.
Yeah, that's great. The last two are, yeah, kind of the big picture is no clear pricing structure. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
how would you move forward?
Yeah, if they're just like, if they just send you a number, you mean?
Well, this is the thing. In our industry, it's pretty clear. Most people have set prices for set things at set times.
Yeah.
I've never noticed where that hasn't been a thing.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about how in the industry of construction, for say, I had a friend who got a quote for a certain thing at her house.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contractor was like, oh, we're running into issues, as they always do. And then it was like, it's going to be more.
Mm-hmm.
And they were accommodating. And then all of a sudden they get the bill and it's like 3 times more. It's like, how do you never communicate if you've agreed upon set price and then it changes by 3?
Yeah.
Photographers don't, none that I know do that.
Yeah. I mean, with that, I feel like things can come up that delay the project, and it means that there's more time going into the project for them.
Yeah.
Like us, it's a set amount of hours. We start and stop, and like it's in probably our contract. If we have to go further, you will get billed. So it's obvious that they're gonna get more. They're gonna get a higher bill. But for like contractors, material costs can go up.
It's just communicating it though.
Yeah.
And I mean, once there's a hole in the ground, you're like, do you want me to move forward? You kind of have to.
Yeah, it's true.
The last one is
reviews.
Yeah, negative reviews or no reviews. I think no reviews might be worse. If you're a new business, I can kind of understand it, and like that's just happens. I wasn't really review orientated when I started. I didn't really ask people for it. So if they really love the service, they'd go out of their way, and that was great. Now, if people say like, we love the photos, I'm like, if you could help me out with a review, it means a lot.
Yeah. I know. Well, okay. So there are photographers that had reviews on Google, and I guess they get so bad that like
they just take them down.
They just take it down. So like if your photographer doesn't have any reviews on Google, that could be a red flag.
Yeah. I think the thing is if you add these up and they have a few of them.
Yeah.
Right?
There are also other places you can find reviews. Like, it doesn't have to be their Google profile. Like, there's wedding websites and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they'll, like, call people out.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, like, kind of an awkward question because I'm like, so how did you pick your wedding photographer?
Oh, Effie? Yeah. I wanted to go over how I picked my wedding photographer.
Oh, yeah?
So, I searched really hard. I'm just kidding. I was like, as soon as I got engaged, I knew Dorothy was going to do my wedding.
You met me one time in Millworks. You said, hey, Dorothy, I follow you. And I was like, nice. And then kept walking. And you were like, that's my wedding photographer.
No.
It was like a meet cute where like, you know, you were like, I'm going to woo her and we're going to be a great team. And I was so unaware. And it was like, you know, it was like written in the stars.
Okay, I did manifest becoming your friend. I don't know if I've told you this.
No.
No?
Oh, no.
Oh, I've told so many people, because especially like in the group of photographers that I was hanging out with before, I was like, oh, I love Dorothy. We should invite her to like our meetups. And I'm going to be her best friend.
But you say that about everybody.
But it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I did manifest being your friend, so... Yeah,
that's the difference between me and you. You fangirl real hard, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fangirl nothing for nobody until you prove yourself to me.
It's true.
And then I'm like, I love you.
I love you.
I think 9 times out of 10, if you fangirl someone and meet them, you're not gonna like them.
It's true. I know, and I'm learning that from you.
Yeah, it was like my only tip. I was like, don't just like people.
Yeah, you just kept telling me that, because as soon as we hung out, I was like, oh, I like this person. I think they're so cool. And you're like, no, don't fangirl. Stop fangirling. That's just my personality.
I shouldn't steal your sunshine. You can fangirl people, but just
you.
Be aware.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got married almost 12 years ago. So the way I picked my wedding photographer was very different.
Okay.
And it's true. I also followed her for quite a long time, but it was the only photographer I followed. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know how to find another one. I maybe at one point Googled photographer.
Yeah.
But I feel like now that I'm in the inner circle and people follow us and Instagram is such a thing, I think people already know who they want to use before they're booking. It's not they're like, oh, I should do these photos. And then they look up like the service. It's already like pre-loaded, which is great for us for the most part. But yeah, she was also a cousin of two of my bridesmaids.
Oh. That's nice.
But yeah, she was really good.
I love keeping it in the fam.
Yeah. And I harassed her.
What do you mean?
So I asked her if she would be my wedding photographer, and she was booked that weekend. Oh. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's true. And then I was like, a couple months later, I saw another photographer, and we were like basically ready to book. We had met her. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then I messaged her one more time being like, but my wedding's a Friday. So what do you think?
Like she wasn't booked, but she was booked for the weekend?
She was booked on a Saturday.
She didn't want to do a double
And then I was
header.
like, but like, what about the fact that I'm on a Friday? Right. And then she said, if I can leave early, if I don't need to be at the reception, I can do it. And I was like, done deal.
Yeah.
So she ended up doing it, and I don't regret it. I love my photos to this day.
Good.
Yeah. My wedding was, I don't know, easy.
Yeah.
The only thing that was hard was that was hot, but
yeah.
August.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like I got lucky with you as well because you were on maternity.
Yeah, I was like, I can't stand, but I'll be there.
Especially since like I planned it in like 4 months or something.
Yeah.
I got engaged and I was like, so we're going to get married in May.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'll be on maternity leave, so perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll be on maternity leave, so I will work.
Yeah. Thanks, Doris.
That was my entire maternity leave.
I feel like it was like a more like I don't want to say it was an easy wedding, but it was all in one space and like you had a place to go chill if you need to.
Yeah. I pumped
stakes.
One time.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if Ruben came and got it, but that's when I was like, yeah, pumping at weddings isn't going to happen for me.
Aww.
Yeah.
Did you have any other weddings where you had to pump after that?
I had a couple, and I had one where I had to second shoot and pump, and it's just rough. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you pre-talk to the venue ahead of time, like maybe they can put it in the fridge, or if your spouse can come pick it up, that's great. But it's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I actually just stopped doing that and just like went through the day and was like, well, I hope I don't get in pain and leak and whatever, and my supply drop, and none of those things happened, and I would just go home and carry on, and it was fine for the most part. Okay,
so let's introduce our guest today. She has a really, really interesting story about her wedding photographer.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dani is a wedding photographer in Hamilton. She's also a makeup artist. So I think she started weddings doing makeup and then moved into the photography industry. Yeah. And she also does video. She's kind of like me.
Yeah.
I always say she's like me, but like she also does newborn, but I also do like landscaping. So like that's where we go different ways.
Yeah.
But we both can shoot photo and video, and like we don't want to niche down, and we both have dogs. And
I think her dog's name is Millie.
Millie.
All right, should we try calling her? I know it's early, but
yeah. Hey, Dani.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Dorothy and I are just like bickering like old married people.
That's my favorite kind of relationship.
Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. We are so excited to have you and for you to tell us your crazy wedding photographer story.
Yeah, so right before we've had you on, we were talking about red flags in photographers, which I don't think is a common conversation that we've heard of.
Yeah, and they exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit about what happened. I know that you were looking for a photographer, but then ended up with a photographer that you ended up not being very happy with the photos. So we'd love to hear your story from the beginning.
from like the very beginning, or from the time that I hired the photographers that didn't work?
I like hearing the part where you like actually tested out other photographers as well.
Okay, so originally, because I'm also a wedding photographer, I reached out to my mentor originally to shoot my wedding. He's incredible, and it was like a very clear decision. I'd been second shooting and lead shooting under his brand for like 4 years. He's one of my best friends. So it was just like a very easy choice. And then he got super weird, maybe 2 months before my wedding.
What do you mean?
It was like a very upsetting situation. And I want to be like fully transparent without like revealing his name or like doing anything to his business. Because again, he's like an incredible artist. He just kept pushing our engagement session and pushing and pushing. And then we ended up being really close to the wedding. And I was like, okay. He's like, I'll deliver the photos really fast. And at the engagement session, I gave him a $2,000 deposit and in cash. And
for the wedding or for the
wedding?
Okay.
Yeah, because we agreed on a price, and like I gave him a $2,000 deposit to put towards it. But
okay.
And then I was just like, yeah, and like if you could just give me a contract, because I do contracts with all my friends when they hire me for photography, and I just think it makes things a little bit more clear cut for everybody if they know what the expectations are. And then he got super strange about it. He ended up like not delivering our engagement photos very quickly. Like I think it was about 3 weeks or less before our wedding that he actually delivered them, and I had to like quickly order a guest book with the photos. So it was like really stressful for me, and he wasn't understanding why I was stressed. He's like, these print labs can turn it around quick, and I'm like, yeah, but I have such a checklist because we're just a few weeks from my wedding, and this isn't something I want to be rushing, right?
Right.
Anyway, we were back and forth, and I was like, okay, if you can just send the contract, and then he just kind of said like basically, you're not going to see your wedding photos for at least 5 months, or 4 or 5 months, he said. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, your work's amazing. That's fine. 4 or 5 months, I can wait. But, like, you'll send me a couple sneak peeks, right? He's like, no, I don't do that. And this is, like, one of my best friends. So I was like, what? And I got, like, a little sad about it. And he was just being really weird. And again, like, incredible photographer. I would never, like, want to, like, tarnish his name. But he ended up, like, just blindsiding me in, like, the worst way just a few weeks before our wedding. And then I think it was about 2.5 weeks. He basically was like, yeah, like, I'm not coming and I'm not refunding your deposit.
Oh my goodness.
And I swear to God, there's nothing missing from that story. Like, I swear there's nothing I'm, like, sneakily hiding from the story.
Yeah.
It sounds, like, unbelievable to me even saying it. But that's what happened.
So, Dani, I know, like, you're stressed about not tarnishing somebody's name, and you don't have to reveal who they are. But it's one thing, like, stating facts of like what you've gone through and your side of the story, and if you're just literally saying like this is just literally what happened, I think that's totally fine to share your experience. And I know it's hard because as we work in the industry, like the last thing we want to do is start rumors, talk poorly about people we work with, so like we fully understand that. But like that's a really tough situation to be in, and like it's very not professional. Like, and did you get any clarification from him as to why he wouldn't refund you? If he's backing out, he should refund. And also, like, did he give you any information as to why? Like,
so his last email said something like it was between my husband and him, because honestly, like, he was like breaking my heart because it was like one of my best friends, and like what I look up to. And he kept kind of just saying like, I'm not giving you sneak peeks. You're not going to see your photos until like our wedding was June 30th. He's like, you're not going to see your photos until like November. And like, that's like tough. And I don't really want to give you a contract. Like, he originally said he was going to give us a contract when we gave him the money. And then he was like, yeah, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, that's really weird because I trust you and the contract's just formality. But like, it would make me feel better, and that's what I do with my friends. So I don't think it's like not challenging or questioning your professionalism. I just think it's the best thing to do between friends.
It is totally the best thing to do between friends because, like you said, it clarifies what's expected from both parties.
Exactly. And that's why I've always done it. Even like with family, I send my family contracts, and they're like, "We're family." I'm like, "Yeah," but it sets it all up. And yeah, so it was devastating. It ended up being just my husband and him conversating. And the last email he said, because my husband was like, okay, if you're not going to give us any photos until November, can we have like a third shooter, or can you hire someone that can like maybe just deliver a few sneak peeks? Like, can we pay extra basically to have that service? And then because we're like, I'm a photographer, and I also like really love like sending my sneak peeks out, because I think it's really exciting right after we got married to have a few photos to like enjoy.
Yeah, and that's totally acceptable. Like, you weren't just asking, you know, as like I don't want to say the word crazy, but like as a crazy bride being like, you know, can we have the service? Like, you were trying to find a middle ground as someone who works in the industry, being like, we're happy to pay a third person who could potentially get us the sneaks, which is like, I've never experienced that from a client. Like, you just understand and you know. So that's,
yeah. For sure. Like, the last thing I want to do is make him think, like, to insult him. Like, I was definitely not going there.
Yeah. So moving forward, he dropped out, and you were scrambling to find someone.
Yeah. So we're like less than 3 weeks out. He dropped out. We're $2,000 less of our budget, which our original budget, this is back in 22, and our original budget was around like $5,000, $5,500. So now we're down to like $3,500 total budget. And, you know, I would like to have full day coverage ideally, because it was a pretty long day. So I was reaching out to like all my favorite photographers. I know I don't know if you remember, but I did reach out to you. You were slammed.
Yeah, I was slammed and also pregnant. I think if I hadn't been pregnant, I would have been like, I could do this. But like, because when was your wedding date again?
It was June 3rd, 22.
Yeah, like I was starting to get big.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah, it's all good. I reached you. I reached out to a couple other friends in the industry whose work I love, and everyone was booked, which is fair because it was 2022 and it was like 3 weeks away. But then I ended up reaching out to a photographer who shot my friend's wedding, who I was a bridesmaid in their wedding 4 years prior, and they were from my hometown of Sarnia. And so I reached out to them, and they were available, and they were in budget for full day coverage. So I was like, yes, win.
That's good.
Like, your friend referred them and had like good things to say about them.
Exactly. And I was there on the wedding day, and it's like a husband and wife team, and they work well together. And I wasn't like blown away with the quality of work. And I was pretty upfront with my husband about that even. I was like, yeah, like it's not like the best photography ever, but it is good. And they seem to cover like the full day. They don't miss stuff. And that's kind of like all I can hope for with this budget that we're left with right now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they've been shooting weddings for 18 years. So that was, you know, that's like credibility that really kind of backed them up. And they had some really great reviews online. So I was like, well, this seems perfect and like an answer prayer. And we had a phone call with them. They said that they wouldn't show us a recent wedding, which is kind of for me, and especially in hindsight, because they're like, well, you can look at your friend's wedding from 4 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I can, but everyone's work kind of evolves over time, and it would just be cool to see one. But they're like, yeah, we don't do that. And I said,
red flag.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, just look at your friend's wedding. And I did, and so we looked at it together, and we both kind of noticed that the whole reception, from like speeches to the end of the dancing, was like slow shutter drag and like everything. Like even during speeches, there's like dragged lights above the speaker. And so we said to them like, hey, yeah, we looked at our friend's wedding. It looks great. The only thing we want to say is that we don't really like slow shutter look. Like you seem to really love it, obviously, and we're not trying to offend you. We're very delicate the way we say it.
Yeah.
We're not trying to offend you, but it's just not really our style personally. And is it possible that we can request not to have that? And they said, sure, no problem. And so, yeah, their husband and wife, the wife was pregnant. She was like maybe, I think she was 6 months pregnant at the time. So we told them, like, we'll put you in a hotel the night before and the night of the wedding, because they're about an hour away from where our wedding was. And they were super nice. They showed up the night of our rehearsal and were like scouting out locations at our venue. And like I can't express how nice they seemed and how good I felt about this whole thing.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like everything was kind of like, you know, hunky-dory or whatever you want to call it. And then things kind of started going a little south from here on out, right?
Well, kind of. The wedding day went pretty well. Like, you know, they showed up on time. Everything seemed pretty good. The only, like, we'll call them orange flags on the day were that I noticed, you know, I didn't want to be a wedding photographer on my wedding day. I want to be a bride. Yeah. And so I really did detach myself from, like, interfering in any way to their process. So one thing I did notice but chose not to say anything was, like, they were only clicking their camera maybe, like, 3 times for every family photo. And the sake of like eyes open, like I typically for weddings I shoot, which click like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I feel like I click for like a solid minute.
Yeah, you do. It's annoying.
I know.
Yeah, like just like, rapid fire, make sure you have enough that one of those photos will have everyone's eyes open. So
Yeah.
I did notice that they were kind of like undershooting, and I am an overshooter, so I like, again, didn't want to overstep or tell them how to do their job. But I did notice that on the day, and that was like an orange flag.
Okay.
And then during our receiving line, which we had a pretty big wedding, so the only time we really got to hang out with our guests or like talk to them was during our receiving line right after the ceremony, which was outside. It was very casual. It was during the cocktail hour, and they disappeared. We didn't see them at all during that. So I had like no photos with my guests, which I was kind of sad about. And I noticed it in the moment, but I was so busy being like minutes married and talking to family and friends. I wasn't going to like chase after them, right?
Where the heck did they go?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. But then from that point on, everything seemed totally fine. Like, they really did shoot like a long time that day. Like, I want to say they started at like maybe 10 a.m. and ended at like 11 p.m. So it was a long day for them.
Yeah.
And they did seem to have it under control, and they took turns. Like, it's not like they were both shooting the whole time together. Like, I noticed like usually one of them would be shooting while the other is like taking a break, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That doesn't worry me if one person's covering what's happening.
Dorothy does that all the time. She's like, you got this one. You get that photo.
I mean, you second shot when I was pregnant and when I was pumping, and I was like, you're skinnier than me. Go get in there.
A lot of people do it. It makes sense. You don't need two of the same photo.
Your second's being paid to work.
I know.
They better work.
Yeah, you're right. So are you, though.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good. Basically, the wedding day went great. I mean, like, little blips here and there, but all in all, everything felt great. I want to say a week after, they sent us a couple, like, low-res sneak peeks, which admittedly did not blow me away, but it was nice to see a photo from our wedding. Like, it was nice to have a couple photos from our wedding, and I was very grateful, and I knew that the wife was going to be giving birth later that summer, so I was, like, super, like, low pressure with them, very thankful that they showed up and worked so long and, all of that. So I was like, take your time. Thank you for the few sneak peeks, and like, we'll talk to you in the fall. And that's where things do go bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then in the fall, I want to say it was like October. So we're at least 4 months after the wedding. I didn't want to bother them. So I knew they just had a baby, and like, I really didn't want to bother them. I just said like, hey, like, I'd love to send out my thank you cards before Christmas if I can. Do you think that might be possible? Like, what's your expected turnaround time? Like, no pressure. And he was like, yeah, I should have them soon. I'll send you a message on Instagram when I deliver them. So I think they were delivered somewhere before 5 months, but still like a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I picked up a bottle of wine, like chocolate-covered strawberries, and we were going to make like a date night out of it with my monitor and kind of watch them in like a slideshow, which is something I recommend to all my clients as well, because it's like a really cute way to relive your wedding day.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cute setup.
Aww.
And then we started watching the photos. Like, we got on or poured the wine, and I kid you not, within like less than 5 minutes, I was bawling my eyes out.
Aw, not in a good way.
Yeah.
No, not in a good way at all. Even in the slideshow, I could see like faces were dragging across the frames. Like, there was clearly like a very slow shutter going on, or very low aperture, or just bad settings in general. And I was like shaking it. To this day, like, this was now like a year and a bit ago that we got the photos, and like to this day, I don't think I've cried that hard since that day.
Aww.
It was like just such a letdown because we had such a long time waiting for it that I was like, whoa. I didn't think people who shot weddings for 18 years could mess them up that bad.
I mean, just because they're longtime wedding photographers doesn't mean they're good.
And things happen. You can have technical difficulties, and your cameras can have something going on. It's weird to me that were they shooting dual cameras?
So they were shooting one camera each, which is also something I didn't know going into the day. I only saw that on the day, which, again, everyone shoots different. I'm like, if they each have a camera, I'm sure they can capture this day great. Typically, I have 2 cameras, and my second has at least 1, if not 2.
Yeah.
So I did think it was like kind of low equipment. But again, like, I was fully trusting their process.
Yeah, I would too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard when you're in that position. You don't want to be like, why don't you have a second camera?
Yeah, and when you're a wedding vendor and you're getting married, like your biggest fear is coming across as a bridezilla. Like
Exactly.
in that department to like not come across that way. And in hindsight, I wish I spoke up a little bit more. Yeah.
I'm really blown away by this story that they don't take any responsibility for like the fact that maybe they had a camera issue. I wouldn't know what it would be like if they just their settings were out of whack. I have no idea, but to not come back and say this isn't our best work, especially for a wedding, and to offer some sort of retribution, like, can we please get together to at least redo golden hour? Or, you know, like we could go back. I don't know where your venue was, but like go back to your venue and like do a fake kiss. Like, so you have something to look back at, even though it's not the full day, but to recover something.
Yeah, they didn't. When we reached out like before we'd even looked at the whole wedding because we were pretty blown away in a bad way. And they were like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with like either our monitor or yours. We'll take it down, take a look, and re-upload. So there was like a week wait where like I was just sick to my stomach for a whole week. And then they re-uploaded it, and it was much smaller. Like there was way less photos in the first gallery.
Oh.
But it's still like they were actually looking probably for focus.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I really do want to be fair and say like there's definitely worse wedding photos available out there, but it didn't look very professional. It's like the kindest way I put it. Like it still wasn't nailing focus in 80% of the photos. Like 20% did nail focus, and it was very few, maybe even less than 20%, honestly. Few and far between.
Yeah. Was it a nailing focus issue, or was it slow shutter issue, or was it both?
I think it was just bad settings. That's my guess. I asked them if they could tell me what happened because I do have a friend whose wedding, a different friend I was in a wedding with. Her photographer is incredible, and it was back in the days of single slot cameras. And her camera, like there was a malfunction. They lost a whole chapter of the day. Oh. And that photographer is fantastic. She's still a fantastic wedding photographer, and I can only imagine the nightmare that would have been for her. To have to tell her client. So I was trying to like come from that direction and be like, listen, if something happened, I understand things aren't always going to go perfectly. I'm just really at a loss.
Yeah.
And they told me nothing. They never apologized. They kept saying like, yeah, no, we loved your wedding. Like it's like some of our best work. We're really proud of it. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to drag your business. I'm not interested in leaving a bad review, but like you need to tell me what happened because like our only family photos are like we have one of Austin's family and like his brother's eyes are closed. Like that's all we have is one photo. It's just, it was very disappointing.
Man, I was going to ask about the bad reviews because obviously you were never warned because you didn't see bad reviews. But do you feel like a bit of a pressure to like warn other people about it, or even not even just write a bad review, but like write about, I don't know, I would just write like, make sure you take a look at a recent gallery, or like
have an engagement session, which I realized you were short on time.
Yeah. Like, is there any part of you that kind of wants to like help other brides that might get into a situation like you?
Definitely. And we were very slow to do this because we did end up leaving a review, but we were so slow to do so because I was messaging them. I was getting frustrated because they really weren't giving any information to what went wrong on our wedding day.
Yeah.
They told me, they're like, you can upload it into your own Lightroom and re-edit. We don't care. Like, if it's just like the colors and editing, like, do what you want. I was like, it's not very professional. I would never tell my clients that.
I know.
Okay. And then upon doing so, they didn't hide their settings in Lightroom. So I was able to see their settings in Lightroom.
Okay, yeah.
And I did, like, again, I want to be, like, so honest because I'm not trying to tell this story from, like, a super, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, just from my angle. Like, I want to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a part in this that I maybe played, or maybe there's something I just didn't pick up on. I did call them out. Like, I was like, listen, like, I took a picture of the Lightroom screen. I'm like, listen, like, these are not proper settings for when there's a speech giver. You don't put your shutter to 1/60 and your f-stop to like 1.8 to nail focus from 40 feet away. Like, you're not going to speaker and focus with those settings. Like,
Yeah.
I would expect you guys to know that. And so I did call them out. They were really offended by that. It kind of ended the conversation. And then Austin, because he was upset, Austin like is super chill. But he was like, yeah, this work is not very good.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if we could get a different wedding, like a different family photo of my family to print, because like this is my wedding day and my brother's eyes are closed. And then there's another photo where his only photo with his Opa is looking in a different direction, like not towards the camera at all. And so he's like, I just would love to get those photos, but like good ones, like good versions. So he ended up sending, I want to say 6 emails. He called at least 4 or 5 times. They didn't respond to any of them.
Aww.
They never responded. They never picked up the phone. And so this went on for almost maybe 5 months. I don't even know. It was a long time. So I'm like, I don't want to leave a review if there's anything they can do or explanation they can give, because, you know, things can happen and I want to be human about this.
Yeah.
In the end, Austin left a review way kinder than the review I would have left.
Yeah.
But basically saying, like, you know, all these positive reviews on this photographer's page were very misleading for us going into our wedding day. And we just want to give a heads up that they haven't answered our calls or our emails. The only family photos we have are quite bad. And it's really heartbreaking because we can't redo our wedding day.
Yeah. That's a good review. Like, you're not like specifically calling them out for like fucking anything up, but even just the bad communication is a red flag for people.
Yeah. So do you have advice now that you've gone through this? Do you have any advice for people who are booking?
Yeah, I do. My advice would be definitely you need to see a full, real wedding gallery before hiring your photographer. I understand reasons why certain photographers choose not to, and it's for the privacy of their clients, but they should be asking for that permission when they're booking their weddings. And if people opt out, they opt out. But I do think it's totally reasonable to expect that as a wedding couple inquiring to see a wedding gallery.
A recent one.
A recent one, yeah. So you can see the variety of images, the quantity, the quality. You get like a full picture of what your wedding might look like.
Yeah.
And I think that's super key. And then in hindsight, I wish I asked questions like, how many cameras do you bring to a wedding between you and your second shooter, or just you? I honestly, like, I have to give myself like some grace, because I really got like fairly good vibes from this couple in terms of them just being super friendly and seemingly passionate. The fact that they came to our rehearsal dinner voluntarily just to scout out locations.
Yeah.
I thought like they seemed super reliable. So I want to say, like, you know, get a good vibe, but even I had that. So yeah, key thing would be to definitely review a recent wedding.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's questionable for me is that, like, it's not even what happened, it's the fact that they remain like strong firm on the fact that it's good work and there's nothing wrong, and in no way do they own up to it. I think it was Sierra, they're a branding company, they're saying that like people make mistakes, and what makes you an ethical photographer is owning up to it and offering a solution.
Yeah, exactly. Even just the fact that they like wouldn't communicate with you after just like shows their true colors. It's so unprofessional and disgusting.
And they're still getting positive reviews, and I'm happy for the wedding couples who are happy, but I'm so confused why, assuming that they do a better job at those weddings, why they chose my wedding to completely fumble the ball. It's hard not to take it personal in a way, but I also don't know their side because they were never willing to share it. Yeah.
If those other clients who aren't wedding photographers saw your gallery, they may not see it the same way you do. Like,
sure,
you're definitely more biased because you are a wedding photographer and you understand like what a good photo is. A lot of our clients don't really understand. They're just like, oh, you captured this and it is now a memory. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like
true,
this person is blurry in the background. It's more like you got the thing.
Yeah.
And
That's like a totally fair point. I'm definitely going to have like a keener eye for, focus and all that for sure.
yeah.
But if you print photos, you do, like, I'm a printer. Not everyone prints their wedding photos, but I, like, choose them. And even if you don't have, like, a photographer's eye, when you print a photo that is out of focus, you will see it.
Yeah. Ugh, I hate it.
It's very apparent that the photo was not in focus when you print it and try to put it in a frame on your wall. So it does upset me that they're going to continue photographing weddings and that another couple out there may go to print, a large print for their wall and see, we're completely blurry. And I know that that's also a wedding trend, like the blurry, like,
yeah, but that's different.
A place for it, but it's not the whole wedding day.
Yeah, yeah.
After your day, sure, like do your artistic thing, like I'm here for it, but not a whole wedding day.
Who knows? Maybe they're good now. Maybe because of your wedding, they like really took a look at like what they were doing and they changed and now they're actually really good. So
maybe
doesn't help Dani at all.
For anyone that they shoot weddings for, I really hope that no one goes through what I went through because it was like very sad. It was just very sad.
Well, we're sorry that was your experience, of course, because you can't get that day back, and we're thankful that you were willing to share your story and like raise awareness on just like some red flags that might not be obvious.
Yeah. Educating our clients is like a huge part of what our job is.
Yeah.
So I think even just hearing other people's bad stories, and I feel like we talk about all the negative things a lot. We should talk about more positive things. But honestly, that's how you learn. You learn from mistakes and other people's mistakes. So
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Should we ask her some rapid fire questions?
I don't have any.
Okay, let's make them up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What are you doing today, Dani?
Getting a colonoscopy.
I am editing a wedding video, and then I'm going to a friend's birthday tonight.
Oh, fun. Nice. I was just talking about when we were introducing you, how much I feel like we are kind of the same person because we have so many different niches, and we also both do photo and video, and we are both obsessed with our dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are kind of the same person, and I love it because knowing you and knowing that you haven't chosen like one niche only and you haven't like limited yourself to only photography, I'm like, oh, it is okay to do this. I love that.
Totally. Being a jack of all trades, I think, is a niche in itself. Because
exactly.
your family could be like, I need photos for all my occasions, all my headshots. I need photos of my house. I know the girl. So
good photography is good photography. So
100%. Okay, your turn.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, I know that this is going to be a little controversial for some people, or like not everyone would choose this, but I would want to hear people's thoughts.
Ooh, I don't think I would want that.
No.
I'm just interested in people. I love people. I think it's so fascinating.
Totally.
I love watching people. I love watching like interesting interactions, and like I think that's why I love weddings so much, because it's such a big day and such a big moment for people.
Yeah.
I think people watching is key photography, but it's starting to sound a little stalkery.
Yeah. Just the way that different people think or perceive things differently is like really cool to me. I should have gone to school for psychology realistically, because it's like what I'm interested in all the time.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book?
I love books. So right now I'm listening to The Power of your Subconscious Mind.
Okay, that makes
Psychology.
sense.
Yeah, and I love that. I also love the book The Untethered Soul. Yeah.
I try to read. I start a book and then after like a chapter, I'm like, okay.
I'm reading a chapter basically like every other night.
Good job.
Right now. I'm so proud of myself.
I'm really proud of you.
I'm only 5 chapters in.
You know what, Effie? I was listening to one of your podcasts, one of your earlier ones. You were talking about your, what's it called? Your autoimmune disorder.
Yeah.
And so I just want to mention, I don't read. I often have to listen while I'm driving. Yeah. Because I actually have narcolepsy.
Oh.
So that's one of my autoimmune disorders. So I can't read either. Like I will sit down to read and I will fall asleep before one is over.
Oh my God. Okay. Does it happen a lot?
Yeah, if I relax, if I sit down, lie down, I will fall asleep. I will not stay awake.
Do you ever like miss anything important because of it?
She's not gonna say yes.
Yeah. I have FOMO like all the time. I've fallen asleep in like super busy parties.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I fell asleep in front of like 20 people.
Well, if people know that you have it.
It's like the Irish exit, but you forget to leave. That's really what it is.
That's amazing. If people were to wake you up, like you wake up easily?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You can shake me awake, definitely.
So have you almost fallen asleep driving?
Yeah, that's how I finally got my doctor to take me seriously, because I struggled with this all through school. I never stayed awake for a single lecture. You shut the lights off, you put on your slideshow, I'm out, which was so hard for me because I love school. I love school. I love learning. I'm such a dork. And it broke my heart because I felt like all my professors didn't take me seriously because I was always sleeping in their classes.
Oh, that's the worst.
It was really rough. And so my doctors back then didn't take me seriously. They're just like, oh, you're just partying too much, which I probably was. And then I fell asleep on Lakeshore going back into Toronto one day.
Oh, shit.
I was stopped. You know, there's all those lights as you get right into Toronto.
Yeah.
So I was stopped at a light, and then it had gone green. And then all these cars were driving around me, and my car was stopped.
How easily do you wake up? Like, if people are honking at you? Is it like...
Yeah, I do wake up easily, and this was only one time.
Okay.
I told my doctor this story, and she was like, oh, we should get you in a sleep study. I was like, yeah, I've been complaining about my exhaustion for years. And then I passed the sleep study with flying colors, as my official diagnosis is idiopathic hypersomnolence, which basically means I can have 5 naps a day and still feel tired.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Fun. Autoimmune diseases are fun, eh?
So fun. So interesting. Like Dorothy and I were just saying, like everyone has something and you really just don't know.
Yeah.
Until you ask them, I guess, or they tell you.
What do you have?
Sure.
Well, Dani, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. We absolutely loved having you and hearing your story and learning about you and your narcolepsy.
Oh gosh, don't make that the focus.
No, we won't. Well, we might.
Hide it. I don't want people to think I'm gonna fall asleep on like anything. Like
no,
like I'm cool, I'm fun.
No, they wouldn't. No.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. There you go. Oh man, narcolepsy is so crazy. In university, I used to take a film studies course, and it was in a theater. And we'd have to watch films, like really boring films. And it was like in the AMC theater, and I would just fall asleep all the time. And it was just early in the morning, so that's why. But I don't have narcolepsy, just saying.
Yeah.
But I feel her.
Yeah, I would have never have known because, like she said, like she's so active. She's always doing stuff. Like I would have never been like, oh, she seems lethargic and tired.
Yeah. Okay. Should we wrap it up? Do we want to give a tip of the week?
Yeah. You have Calendly here.
I couldn't think of it. I was like, should I make my tip related to what we were talking about or just like randomly spew different tips every week?
Yeah.
Okay. I use Calendly for my booking system, which is great. I do pay for the subscription where you get multiple calendars and like multiple events because I have mini sessions and then I have one calendar for my landscaping photography. But basically people can just see your calendar, see your availability, book you straight in. It gets rid of the back and forth that you always have to do with your clients over email. Like, are you available this day? So it's just easier when you can send them your calendar and they can see exactly when you're available and just straight up book it in.
Yeah. If you aren't using it, you should. I think before I would just like write down on a schedule or like handwritten or in my phone. And then but when I started using Google Calendar and Calendly, like it was just so much easier because you can just be like, here's a link.
Yeah.
Book me.
Yeah. There's other apps that do it as well, but I like Calendly. I think there's USession and like there's another one called like Big something. It sounds like scary. You know what I mean?
No idea.
There's one that sounds scary.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, anyways, the tip of the week is that if you aren't using Calendly or some sort of booking app, you should be.
Do it.
Wow, what a crazy tip.
Good tip.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Just giving advice. We're like We're like the old people where like you didn't ask for advice, but we're just gonna give it anyways.
And you probably already know it.
Yeah. Exactly.
What are you looking forward to this week, Dorothy?
Oh man, I don't have a lot happening, to be honest. I know it's Easter.
Rest. Oh, is it actually?
Next weekend, yeah.
Have you ever seen what people do for Greek Easter? Like egg wars? Have you ever seen an egg war?
No.
It's not like throwing eggs.
Okay.
You hard boil eggs and they're dyed red, and you have like a competition between you and the person beside you, and you do like the noses together and you hit them, and then whoever's egg breaks is out.
Okay,
It's
that
like
makes sense.
It's like a
It's like the
tournament.
wishbone bone thing.
Yeah.
Like where you pull it and whoever gets the biggest. I've never done that in my entire life.
Me neither.
Doesn't sound that fun.
The wishbone thing.
Yeah.
But the egg thing is fun.
Okay.
It's high competition. A lot of people are really into it.
What do you do with the egg since you're vegan?
I eat it.
Oh.
I eat eggs.
Oh, right. We talk about this all the time.
Everyone knows already. I am looking forward to having our first guests in our house. We're
Wow,
having like
who is it?
sleepover guests tomorrow.
Sleepover guests?
Yeah, they're sleeping over. They're our friends from Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah. And they're going to watch the Bruins game with us. And we're doing their shoot.
Oh, yeah.
The engagement shoot at Gage Park. Or Gage Park Greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that should be fun. First guests. And then on Sunday, I'm doing a workout with Lisa. Do you remember Lisa?
No.
She's one of my best friends. You definitely met her at my wedding. Anyways, she is hosting a workout to raise money for the Covenant House. And she's doing a sleep out in May. She's like sleeps outside in order to raise money for homeless youth.
Oh, that's
Yeah. So
amazing.
So she's hosting a workout at her gym in Toronto to raise money and awareness. So it's fun. It's CrossFit.
You're going to crush it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Those are great things to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Well,
what do we want for lunch?
pho.
Pho.
We're gonna just attempt to make pho.
Yeah. Spice it up. All right. So where can they reach you?
They can follow me at Effie Edits Photo. And that's it.
That's it. Oh, Dorothy May _
Nice.
That's it.
Okay.
Peace.
Peace. Bye. Thanks for tuning into our Edit Sesh. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere that you want that has podcasts. You can also follow us at Edit Sesh Pod on Instagram. This podcast was produced by Effie by herself. Dorothy just shows up. And it is put onto the internets by moms. Thanks, moms. Okay, bye.